Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought it was a good show tonight, in my opinion. Really enjoyed Monday Night Raw tonight. We had the Wyatt Six. They ended up taking on American Made, Chad Gable, the Creed Brothers, and Ivy Nile in a 8-person mixed tag team street fight. We had the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defend the titles against the Unholy Union, Alba Fire, and Isla Dawn. Dominik Mysterio was in action, and he had taken on Dragon Lee. We had Lyra, Valkyria, and Zelina, Vega, and a partner of their choosing, mystery partner, and they took on the Pure Fusion Collective, Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler. We had Rey Mysterio, and he had taken on Finn Balor. And the main event, we had a Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match in the Intercontinental Championship Tournament. Jey Uso versus Pete Dunne versus Braun Strowman and Ilja Dragunov. But overall, Monday Night Raw, good show it was tonight. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, I did a movie review of the 1995 film Congo. So if you haven't seen my review of that, definitely go check it out. Really liked the film. Had fun with it. So check out my review of that if you guys haven't seen it. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight, and the first hour of Monday Night Raw tonight was commercial free. So Monday Night Raw opened up with the 8-person mixed tag team street fight. It was the American Made, Chad Gable, the Creed Brothers, and Ivy Nile. They have taken on the Wyatt Six, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and Nikki Cross. And of course, they were accompanied by Uncle Howdy. And what a fun match this was. This felt like a premium live event match. But WWE is doing a good job with this feud between Chad Gable and the Wyatt Six. I think it's very entertaining. But the match got underway with the American Made end up standing on the apron across from the Wyatt Six. Ivy Nile got into the ring, and Nikki Cross ended up taking Ivy Nile down, and that led to a brawl breaking out between the competitors. Nikki Cross ended up hitting Ivy Nile with a sit-out front suplex on the floor. Nikki Cross ended up retrieving a garbage can from under the ring. She put the garbage can over Ivy Nile, and she started beating the garbage can with a kendo stick on Ivy Nile. So Joe Gacy ended up fighting off a suplex from Brutus Creed. Nikki Cross ended up sending Ivy Nile into the barricade. The garbage can was still over Ivy Nile's head. Nikki Cross then ended up hitting a run drop kick into the garbage can to Ivy Nile. Eric Rowan ended up giving Julius Creed a face buster onto the apron, which was cool. And Joe Gacy ended up giving Brutus Creed a suplex on the apron. So Chad Gable and Dexter Lumis were in the ring. Chad Gable went for a diving clothesline on Dexter Lumis, but Dexter Lumis ended up countering. Lumis slammed Chad Gable down, and they both ended up rolling out of the ring. So Nikki Cross ended up clearing the commentary table off. She ended up pulling Ivy Nile up. Ivy Nile ended up quickly sweeping Nikki Cross's feet, and she ended up pinning a flapjack to Nikki Cross onto the table. Ivy Nile ended up sending Nikki Cross over the table, and we went back to the ring. Joe Gacy started stomping on Brutus Creed. Chad Gable ended up beating Dexter Lumis down at ringside with a kendo stick. Gable ended up getting into the ring, and he ended up attacking Joe Gacy with the kendo stick. And he was beating Joe Gacy down until the kendo stick ended up breaking. Chad Gable ended up going to ringside, and he started hitting Eric Rowan. And that did nothing to Eric Rowan. He didn't even feel a thing. So Rowan ended up swatting Chad Gable away, but the Creed Brothers then double-teamed up on Eric Rowan. The Creed Brothers ended up going for a double-team suplex on the floor, but Rowan countered with a double suplex on the Creed Brothers, which was crazy. Good spot there. Rowan then ended up running over Chad Gable with a shoulder tackle. Rowan ended up going under the ring, and he pulled out a table, to which the crowd gave an applause for, because the crowd loves to see tables being used. You know, they're always chanting, "We want tables." So Uncle Howdy was watching the match from his rocking chair. Rowan ended up setting the table up, and he ended up going after Chad Gable. Rowan ended up going for a power slam to Gable, but Gable slid off. Ivy now ended up spraying Eric Rowan in the eyes with the fire extinguisher. Chad Gable ended up following up with a chair shot to Rowan's midsection, and then he ended up hitting a chair shot to Rowan's back. The Creed Brothers then ended up lifting Rowan up, and they slammed Rowan through the table. So the Creed Brothers stood over Rowan, and they ended up burying Rowan under, some wreckage and also some weapons. So Chad Gable then ended up smacking Dexter Lumis on the spine with a kendo stick. Gable then ended up giving Lumis a drop toe hold onto an open steel chair. Chad Gable and Julius Creed ended up hitting Lumis with some kendo sticks, and then Julius started choking him. Gable swung a chair at Lumis, but Lumis ducked, and that gave Lumis a chance to connect with a back suplex. So the Creed Brothers at ringside, they double teamed up on Joe Gacy. They got him into the ring. Julius Creed smashed the kendo stick on Joe Gacy's back. Lumis ended up setting up a table at ringside. So Joe Gacy ended up taking out the Creed Brothers with a handspring double clothesline. And the crowd was liking what they were seeing. They were chanting, "This is awesome." Julius quickly ended up stopping Joe Gacy's momentum with a kendo stick shot to him. Lumis then ended up setting Chad Gable up on the table. Lumis climbed to the apron, but Julius ended up knocking Lumis off with an elbow. Julius then ended up hitting Joe Gacy with a chair. Gable ended up throwing a garbage can into the ring. Bruce then ended up putting the garbage can over Joe Gacy's head. So Gable, Julius, and Brutus end up taking turns hitting the garbage can with kendo sticks on Joe Gacy. So Ivy Nile ended up going under the ring. She got surprised by Nikki Cross. Ivy Nile ended up backing up, and Nikki Cross ended up beating Ivy Nile down with a kendo stick. She ended up smashing Ivy Nile's face off the commentary table. Nikki Cross then ended up hitting a run across body block over the table to Ivy Nile. So Chad Gable ended up running into Joe Gacy in the ring. Joe Gacy still had the garbage can over his head. Gable ended up hurting himself after, hitting the garbage can. So the Creed Brothers end up standing Joe Gacy up. They end up sending Joe Gacy into the corner very hard. Julius ended up going to the ring, and he grabbed the table. He ended up sliding the table into the ring. Bruce then set the table up in the ring. Julius then ended up grabbing Joe Gacy. And the Creed Brothers ended up going for a double team suplex through the table to Joe Gacy, but Rowan emerged from the wreckage on the outside. So the Creed Brothers end up going after Rowan. Rowan ended up taking the Creed Brothers out with a clothesline and also a big boot. Rowan ended up going into the timekeeper's area, and he kicked the wall down. Rowan then picked up the wall, and he drove the wall into the Creed brothers and Chad Gable, which that was crazy. Very nice spot there of Rowan kicking that wall down, in the timekeeper's area. So, at the end of the match, we had Rowan end up rolling Chad Gable into the ring. Uncle Howdy ended up hitting Julius with a ridiculous Sister Abigail. We had at one point Chad Gable was staring at Uncle Howdy, and Rowan used that distraction to run Chad Gable over. Rowan ended up applying a claw to Chad Gable's head, and he gave him a choke slam onto the steel steps, which that had to hurt. So that led to Uncle Howdy hitting Julius with a Sister Abigail. He spiked Julius on his head with that Sister Abigail. Rowan then ended up pulling Chad Gable down, and he ended up assisting Dexter Lumis, to which Dexter Lumis went up to the top rope, and he ended up hitting a splash on Chad Gable. Lumis ended up going for the cover, and there you go. The Wyatt 6 ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a very good, entertaining match to open Monday Night Raw here. And, before this match took place, we had a recap of the feud with the Wyatt 6 and Chad Gable and American Made being added into the mix. But good match it was. It felt like a premium live event match here. Just the crowd was so into it. A lot of good spots here. And hopefully this is it for the Wyatt 6 and Chad Gable and American Made. I think American Made need to move on to someone else. And Chad Gable, can move on to somebody else and get a win for himself. But overall, good match. And then we had Joe Tessitore. Joe Tessitore, he's doing a good job commentating for Monday Night Raw. Last week was, his first show. And tonight, of course, was his second. I thought he did a very good job on commentary here. And even though he said last week that his commentary, wasn't that good, I thought it was fine. I think, like I said, he's doing a good job on commentary. So he ended up announcing this news. And I loved this news when he announced it. Joe Tessitore announced that from October 7th to December 30th, Monday Night Raw will be 2 hours long. It's going to be from 8 to 10 p.m. And that is absolutely great. Bye-bye to the 3-hour nightmare. Thank God. And I really do hope that from October 7th to December 30th, if the show does good in the ratings, at 2 hours, this will possibly make Netflix decide to keep Monday Night Raw for 2 hours. I really do hope in January when Monday Night Raw goes to Netflix, it's at 2 hours. Because at 3 hours, the show at points drags. So I really do hope when we get to January and Monday Night Raw is on Netflix, it stays at 2 hours. Please, no more 3 hours. That is it. Monday Night Raw needs to be at 2 hours. So yeah, that's the news. From October 7th to December 30th, Monday Night Raw is going back to 2 hours. Thank God. Took them long enough. We've been stuck with 3 hours of Monday Night Raw since 2012. Look how long it's been. 12 years. And then we had Finn Balor. Finn Balor, one half of the World Tag Team Champions, ended up heading to the ring. Balor got on the mic. He ended up saying that it didn't have to be this way with Damian Priest. He ended up saying that Priest thinks he screwed Balor, but Priest screwed the Judgment Day. Balor ended up saying that when he joined the group, he reached down and tried to help Priest up. He ended up saying the more he helped Priest up, the more Priest tried to hold him down. And he ended up saying that Priest held him down, his friend and brother. Balor ended up saying that he was the guy who had Priest's back and made sure he stayed champion. Balor ended up saying that he should have been World Heavyweight Champion a long time ago, but Priest was lurking behind his back with the Money in the Bank briefcase every chance he could. Balor ended up saying that every time he got close to the title, Priest screwed him. So Balor ended up calling Priest out because he has some things he wants to say to his face. So out came Damian Priest. Damian Priest charged down to the ring, and he looked all furious. Priest got into the ring. He got on the mic. He ended up saying ever since Balor broke up the real Judgment Day, he's tried to get his hands on him. But Balor has to run. So Priest ended up saying that he will let Balor say what he has to say. And then he's dropping his ass. Balor ended up saying that Priest cannot tell him what to do anymore after being turned into his sidekick. Balor ended up saying that Priest and Rhea Ripley will fall on the same night. So Balor ended up saying that he wants Priest one-on-one at Bad Blood. Priest immediately accepted the challenge. He ended up saying that he's going to do what he came to do. But Balor ended up stopping him. Balor ended up asking Priest if he's forgotten the old Judgment Day playbook. Priest ended up saying that he wrote the playbook. So Priest ended up quickly punching Balor down, and then he attacked Carlito and Jade McDonough, which they end up coming over the barricade. So Dominik Mysterio came off the top rope. Priest caught Dominik. Carlito then chop blocked Priest down, and so it was a 4-on-1 beat down on Priest. Judgment Day ended up beating down on Priest. And then Rhea Ripley ended up coming out. Rhea Ripley hobbled down on her crutch. Dominik ended up greeting Rhea. Rhea quickly ended up striking Liv Morgan down before Liv Morgan can blindside Rhea. So Dominik ended up grabbing Rhea's crutch, but Rhea Ripley ended up punching Dom away, and she ended up hitting Dom with the crutch. Liv Morgan then ended up chop blocking Rhea's injured knee. So in the ring, Balor ended up taking Priest down with a shot to the face from the World Tag Team Championship. Liv Morgan then started beating on Rhea Ripley's knee with the crutch. Balor then ended up punching away at Priest. Priest ended up getting away, and he laid on top of Rhea Ripley to protect her. Liv Morgan started beating Damian Priest with Rhea's crutch. That led to McDonough and Carlito stretching Damian Priest out. So Dominik ended up beating Damian Priest's exposed ribs with the crutch. Balor headed to the top rope, but Jey Uso ended up running down with a steel chair. Jey Uso came in to save Rhea and Damian Priest. And the Judgment Day quickly ended up scurrying away. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, I thought this was a good segment here. You know, Balor coming out there and talking about Damian Priest. And then, you know, Rhea Ripley coming out there to save, you know, Damian Priest because they're the Terror Twins. And Jey Uso running down there. I thought Jey Uso, he was too late in saving Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest because the damage was done by the Judgment Day. But overall, like I said, good segment it was. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Braun Strowman. Jackie Redmond ended up asking Strowman about the injuries he suffered at the hands of Bronson Reed. You know, 2 weeks ago, we had, you know, that match between Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman where Bronson Reed ended up delivering the tsunami off the wall onto Braun Strowman on top of the car. So Strowman ended up saying that he is hurting, but he had to step up to Bronson Reed. He ended up saying that the match he had last week on Raw didn't help his injuries. Strowman ended up saying that he won't use that as an excuse, and that nothing can keep the monster down. Strowman ended up saying that he may be wounded, but a wounded monster is even more dangerous. And that led to Braun Breaker, the Intercontinental Champion, walking up to Braun Strowman. Breaker ended up saying that he came to see if Strowman was a monster, and he is. Breaker ended up saying that he is here to prove to the world that you don't need to be enormous to be a monster. Strowman ended up saying that he's still standing here because he's never been in the ring with him. Strowman ended up saying that if that's what Braun Breaker thinks, he doesn't know who he's talking to. So Braun Breaker ended up saying that he hopes he wins, and we'll see him around. And that led the crowd to bark, for Braun Breaker. But that was basically that. And then we had the Unholy Union, Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, versus Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. This was for the Women's Tag Team Championship, and this was just very meh, in my opinion. Bianca Belair and Alba Fyre end up starting off the match. Bianca ended up hooking a side headlock on Alba Fyre. Fyre ended up whipping Bianca off, but Bianca ended up shoulder tackling Fyre, ended up clapping her hands. Bianca ended up showing Alba Fyre up, so Alba Fyre ended up charging at her. Bianca Belair ended up sending Alba Fyre into the corner, and she delivered a scoop slam. Jade Cargill then tagged in, so Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill ended up sending Alba Fyre into the ropes, and they ended up hitting a double team shoulder tackle to Alba Fyre. Isla Dawn ended up rushing in, and Bianca and Cargill ended up hitting a double team shoulder tackle to Isla Dawn also. Both Bianca and Cargill ended up clotheslining Alba Fyre over the top rope, and then Isla Dawn ended up tagging in. Alba Fyre distracted Cargill, and Isla Dawn ended up attacking Cargill from behind. Cargill ended up quickly fighting back with a delayed scoop slam to Isla Dawn. Alba Fyre ended up running in. Cargill ended up hitting Fyre with a delayed scoop slam. Cargill then ended up hitting a running elbow to Alba Fyre. Isla Dawn ended up avoiding the running elbow, and she ended up putting Cargill in the corner. Isla Dawn started taunting Bianca. Fyre ended up blind tagging in. Cargill ended up hitting Isla Dawn with an inverted atomic drop. Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn double teamed on Cargill. Alba Fyre ended up going for a figure four on Cargill, but Cargill ended up kicking Fyre away. Isla Dawn ended up tagging in, and Cargill ended up kicking Isla Dawn away. So, at the end of the match, we had Bianca ended up hitting Alba Fyre with a lung blower. Cargill followed up with a German suplex to Fyre. And we had Cargill end up going for the cover, and there you go. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill end up winning the match, retaining the Women's Tag Team Championship. Overall, very meh match it was, and obviously predictable in the end. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were not going to lose the Women's Tag Team Championship. And then Joe Tessitore made the announcement that Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley have left the arena, and they were en route to a local medical facility. So that was what Joe Tessitore ended up announcing. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with the LWO. Redmond ended up asking how Dragon Lee is preparing for Dominik Mysterio and the Judgment Day. Dragon Lee ended up saying to Jackie Redmond that the Judgment Day can't do anything alone, and that he has backup. Rey Mysterio ended up saying that Dragon Lee will take care of business. And that led to the Judgment Day walking up. Balor ended up warning, if the LWO get in the way, they'll take them out like Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. So Rey Mysterio ended up saying that the only thing he saw was a bunch of wannabe thugs that run from a real fight. And that led to Dominik calling his father a deadbeat, same old. So Rey ended up telling Balor to stop hiding behind his stupid old son and fight him. To which Balor ended up accepting. So we had the match later on tonight, Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor. And that was basically that. So that was the end of Hour 1. Commercial free. Hour 2 started off with WWE Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart, came out, got a huge ovation from the crowd there in Calgary. Bret Hart, was just absolutely great. One of the best guys in professional wrestling. I met Bret Hart 2 years ago. It was awesome. He got to sign my King of the Ring figure of his when he won the 1993 King of the Ring. So that was great. So Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett were in the ring. Tessitore welcomed, Bret the Hitman Hart. Of course, he's a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer. So we had Tessitore end up saying that Bret Hart is back. The crowd ended up giving Bret Hart another ovation. Tessitore ended up saying that they have an announcement with Bret Hart because something special is happening in Calgary. Tessitore ended up saying that when WWE comes back at the end of November, it will be Survivor Series in Vancouver. So that was the big announcement. Survivor Series War Games is going to be in Vancouver. Saying that tickets will be on sale this Friday. So Wade Barrett ended up asking Bret Hart how good it feels to be back home on Monday Night Raw in the Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Bret Hart ended up saying that this is the place to be and that no one took more pride than he did in being a champion. Bret Hart, when he came out there, he looked a little under the weather, in my opinion. So Bret Hart ended up putting over being a Canadian champion. He ended up saying that Canadian champions will take on anybody and never duck a challenge. He ended up saying they have to prove to themselves like he did every night for 20 years. Bret Hart ended up saying that he is the best there was, the best there is, and the best there ever will be. So that led to Gunther coming out. Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, he headed to the ring in a suit. Gunther got booed from the crowd. They were chanting, "You suck" to him. Gunther ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that it is a time to be alive. He ended up saying that he is about to pull the heart out of one of his childhood heroes. So the crowd was viciously booing Gunther. Gunther ended up saying that Bret Hart is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Gunther ended up saying that this is a passing of the torch moment. He ended up saying that Bret Hart is the best there was, but he's looking at the best there is and the best there ever will be. Gunther ended up saying that he wants to express something from the bottom of his heart. He ended up saying, like Wade Barrett, Stu. He called him Stu because that's Wade Barrett's first name, Stu. He ended up saying, like he said before, all the boys in the back watched him growing up. He ended up saying that Bret Hart has been a hero for him. Gunther ended up saying that Bret Hart will always be a close second to his actual favorite. Gunther ended up saying that his all-time favorite is none other than Bill Goldberg. Gunther is a comedian here. He's trolling everybody. Really, his favorite is Bill Goldberg. Give me a break. So Sami Zayn ended up coming out. Sami Zayn came out. He was wearing a Calgary Flames jersey, which got a big ovation from the crowd. So Sami Zayn got into the ring. He got a big ovation there. Sami Chan ended up firing up. Sami Zayn ended up saying that Gunther has a lot of nerve standing in this ring in this city and talking to Bret Hart the way he just did. Sami Zayn was like, "Oh, you think this is a real joke?" to Gunther. He kept saying that it's not a joke. He kept saying that Bret Hart is a Canadian hero. Sami Zayn ended up saying that in case Gunther can't tell, Bret Hart is a hero to every person in this city. He kept saying that he's a hero to an entire generation of wrestlers in the back who still study his matches to this day. He kept saying, more importantly, Bret Hart is a hero to him. Sami Zayn kept saying that Gunther may have the championship around his waist, but Bret Hart set the tone for what it means to be a champion. So Sami Zayn ended up challenging Gunther to a match. Gunther ended up putting his tail between his legs and ran. So Sami Zayn ended up saying that if Gunther wants to say he's the best there is, then he can prove it. So Sami Zayn ended up challenging Gunther to a World Heavyweight Championship match. Gunther ended up thinking about it. He smiled. Gunther ended up saying that with all due respect to Bret Hart, he's not in his league. He ended up saying that's for Sami Zayn, as much as he wants to be, he is not in a league with Bret Hart. So Gunther's answer was no. Gunther then ended up dropping the mic and he walked off. So Bret Hart ended up saying, "Oh, that doesn't look like a champion to me." He was telling that to Gunther. So we had Bret Hart ended up saying that Gunther looks like a dirty yellow coward. So Gunther ended up taking exception to that. He took off his jacket. Sami Zayn ended up going to ringside and he went face to face with Gunther. Sami Zayn kept Gunther from getting into the ring to attack Bret Hart. So Sami Zayn blocked the right hand. He punched away at Gunther. Sami Zayn sent Gunther into the ring post and started punching him down at ringside. And that led to two refs end up coming out, pulling Sami Zayn off, and the refs ended up telling Gunther to leave. So Gunther was furious. He backed up the aisle. Sami Zayn was in the ring, and he held Bret Hart's arm up. And pretty much that was how the segment ended. But overall, this was a enjoyable segment here. You know, Bret Hart was just there because, you know, it's in Calgary and to announce Survivor Series War Games in Vancouver in November. But it was good to see Bret Hart there, even though he looked a little under the weather to me. And then we had Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker walked up to Pete Dunne. Breaker ended up saying that he didn't know what to think of Pete Dunne when he was with Sheamus. Breaker ended up asking what he used to call himself. But Pete Dunne ended up telling Breaker not to call him that name. So Braun Breaker was like, "Okay, Pete." Pete Dunne ended up saying that he's going to win tonight and beat Trick Williams tomorrow night on NXT to get closer to the NXT title. And then it'll take Braun Breaker out to win the Intercontinental Championship. So Pete Dunne ended up saying that he will be a double champion. Braun Breaker ended up saying that it will be a mistake for Pete Dunne to think that he can beat him. Pete Dunne ended up saying that he will be left dumbfounded. Braun Breaker ended up sneering at Pete Dunne, and he wished him luck. So Sheamus then ended up hitting Pete Dunne with a run knee from out of nowhere. Sheamus pulled Pete Dunne up. He ended up going to hit Pete Dunne with the shillelagh, but Pete Dunne ended up avoiding that, and he ended up running off. Refs ended up pulling Sheamus back, and pretty much that was basically that. We're going to continue this feud between Pete Dunne and Sheamus. And Pete Dunne, you know, he's doing, you know, double duty. You know, he's doing, you know, the things with Sheamus on Monday Night Raw, and he's down in NXT feuding with Trick Williams. But I'm really liking what they're doing with Pete Dunne. on NXT in this feud with Trick Williams. I think it's very entertaining. Then we had Dominik Mysterio versus Dragon Lee. Dominik was, of course, accompanied by the Judgment Day, Balor, McDonough, Carlito, and Liv Morgan. Dragon Lee was accompanied by the LWO, Rey Mysterio, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. And this was an okay match here. Match started off with Dominik and Dragon Lee circling the ring, and they end up locking up. Dominik ended up backing Dragon Lee to the corner. Dragon Lee ended up spinning Dominik around. Dominik ended up chopping at Dragon Lee's chest, so Dragon Lee ended up taking Dominik down and started punching away at him. Dragon Lee ended up going for a single leg crab on Dominik, but Dominik got to the bottom rope. Dragon Lee ended up hitting a fireman's carry, a nice rolling fireman's carry to Dominik, and he headed to the top rope. Dragon Lee leapt off the top rope, but Dominik ended up drop kicking him out of midair. Dominik ended up going for the cover, to which Dragon Lee ended up kicking out. So Dominik ended up sending Dragon Lee out of the ring. Dominik then posed on the turnbuckles, and Liv Morgan was liking that. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial, went to the picture-in-picture. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Dominik started stomping away at Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee ended up getting to his feet, and he elbowed Dominik back and started punching away at him. Dominik ended up reversing the whip, but Dragon Lee ended up fighting back with a run hurricanrana. Dragon Lee ended up hitting a running kick to Dominik, and then he swept Dominik's feet. Dragon Lee ended up hitting a slingshot drop kick in the corner. He ended up charging for a second drop kick to Dominik. He ended up going for the cover, to which Dominik ended up kicking out. Dragon Lee ended up going for a powerbomb, but Dominik ended up getting out of that. Dragon Lee ended up booting Dominik, and he ended up hitting the ropes, but Dominik countered with a Michinoku driver, and Dominik ended up going for the cover. Dragon Lee ended up kicking out. We had later on, Dragon Lee ended up annihilating Dominik with a double stomp off the ropes. Dragon Lee ended up crawling over. He ended up going for the cover, but Jade and McDonough put Dominik's foot on the bottom rope, breaking up the pin. So Rey Mysterio ended up attacking McDonough at ringside. We had a brawl breakout between the LWO and the Judgment Day. Joaquin Wilde ended up hitting a somersault senton off the barricade, which was cool. So Liv Morgan ended up using the distraction to chop block Dragon Lee into the ropes, and that led to Dominik following up with a 619. Dominik went to the top and delivered the frog splash onto Dragon Lee. Dominik ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Dominik ended up winning the match. No surprise there. But overall, okay match it was. And then we had Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They were walking backstage, and they saw Io Sky and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. Kairi Sane's eye was all bandaged up. So Io and Kairi end up saying that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill had a good match, and that they're coming for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And that was basically that. And then we had a 6-woman tag team match. We had Zelina Vega, Lyra Valkyria, and their mystery partner, who was revealed to be Natalya. Yeah, not surprised there. And they have taken on the Pure Fusion Collective, the Pure Shit Collective, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. This match was awful. Absolutely awful. So Natalya ended up getting Stark to tap out to the sharpshooter. We had Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler running in, and Zelina Vega and Lyra Valkyria ended up taking them down to try to make them tap out. So Zelina Vega, Lyra Valkyria, and Natalya ended up winning the match. Match was awful. Nothing for me to go over here. No notes here. That's how much I cared. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Lyra, Valkyria, and Zelina Vega. They were congratulating Natalya on her return. Bret Hart walked up and he kept hugging Natalya. Of course, Bret Hart is the uncle to Natalya. Bret Hart ended up saying that this is a Natty moment, not a Bret moment. So that was that. And then we had Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up making his way to the ring. McIntyre walked around the ring. A loud CM Punk chant ended up picking up. McIntyre ended up telling the crowd, yeah, chant his name louder. So McIntyre joined in with the crowd as he was chanting CM Punk. McIntyre ended up saying that whenever that name is chanted, it's simply in memory of him. McIntyre ended up asking if the crowd saw what happened last week. He ended up saying that the violence was poetic. He ended up saying, did they hear what Punk had to say? He ended up saying Punk said he was done with him after beating him in a strap match and is now going after Gunther. McIntyre ended up saying that Punk screwed him out of the world title 3 times this year. McIntyre ended up saying that he pinned him at SummerSlam. He ended up saying just because he's the best at touching 4 corners in a row, he thinks he's done with him. McIntyre ended up saying, I don't think so, you arrogant prick. So McIntyre ended up saying that he's been talking about Punk since January, making him a bigger star. He ended up saying that he can live with that fact because he ended Punk's career. McIntyre ended up saying now it's time to look to the future. He ended up saying that he wants the World Heavyweight Championship he was screwed out of. And of course, he promoted the movie that he's in with Dave Bautista called The Killer's Game, which comes out this Friday, which I still have yet to see the trailer to. So McIntyre ended up saying that things are almost perfect, but there's one loose end he has to cover. McIntyre ended up saying that he is afraid he has some bad news. Of course, he was referring to Wade Barrett because, when Wade Barrett was Bad News Barrett, he always used to say, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. So McIntyre ended up saying that it involved Wade Barrett, to which Barrett looked surprised. McIntyre ended up saying that he doesn't have many friends in this world, and that they have been friends for decades, and that they came to the United States together, and have been arrested together. So McIntyre ended up saying that Barrett made the case on behalf of McIntyre as Michael Cole lied to the world. He ended up saying, why did Barrett step in his way when it came time to end him? McIntyre ended up saying that he's not angry with Barrett. He's just disappointed in him. McIntyre got out of the ring and he approached Wade Barrett. McIntyre ended up warning if Barrett does it again, he won't be disappointed. He ended up saying that he'll be angry and will do something about it. Barrett then removed his headset and he stood up. Adam Pearce came out to the stage. Pearce ended up asking McIntyre if he's lost it so badly. He ended up saying that it's not about CM Punk anymore and that he wants to fight his friends. Pearce ended up telling McIntyre to get in the ring because he has some information he needs to hear. McIntyre ended up saying that he was talking to his friend, man to man. He ended up saying that Adam Pearce isn't his friend and that he's a corporate suit, the kind Punk kisses the ass of. Pearce ended up saying to McIntyre that he spoke to CM Punk earlier in the day. He ended up saying as much as McIntyre thinks he ended Punk, Punk is not done with him. So we had McIntyre saying that he doesn't believe Adam Pearce and that there is no way Punk wants a piece of him after last week. McIntyre then ended up asking who in the crowd wants to see him versus Punk one more time, to which the crowd ended up cheering. So McIntyre ended up saying that Pearce is signing Punk's death certificate. Pearce ended up saying to McIntyre that the fight has to end. So Pearce ended up announcing that it will be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood one more time. He kept saying that it will be over and he will have peace. Pierce will find peace. So Pierce ended up saying that the match at Bad Blood will be Hell in a Cell. So the crowd ended up cheering for that. McIntyre ended up intensely looking at Pierce, and that was basically that. But overall, I called it. I knew it was going to be a Hell in a Cell match between Punk and McIntyre at Bad Blood. I've been saying it, and it's going to be an awesome match come Bad Blood. Hopefully, there will be blood drawn in that match. But overall, enjoyable segment it was from Drew McIntyre. And with Wade Barrett, being in this, I think maybe we might see Wade Barrett come out of retirement and come back into the ring. Maybe he has a match with Drew McIntyre. And then we had Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross was backstage with The Miz. Karrion Kross was telling The Miz that he is in a rut. Xavier Woods ended up walking up. He ended up asking Kross what he is doing. Kross ended up wishing Xavier Woods luck with the Kofi Kingston situation. Miz ended up saying that he is in a rut and that there is no doubt. Xavier Woods ended up saying that Miz fought John Cena at WrestleMania. Miz ended up telling Xavier Woods to look where he is now. So Miz walked off. Kofi ended up coming up. He ended up saying that they have a World Tag Team title shot. Woods ended up saying that they were supposed to go for singles titles, but they'll march into their 10th anniversary as tag team champions. So that was basically that. Then we had Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor. And this was a decent match here. Match got on the way. Balor ended up elbowing Rey in the head. Rey ended up flipping through an arm wrench, and he started kicking at Balor's legs. Balor ended up reversing the whip, but Rey ended up slingshotting over Balor. Rey hit the ropes. Balor then connected with a back elbow to Rey. Balor then ended up punching Rey in the corner, ended up chopping at his chest. Balor then ended up choking Rey on the middle rope, and he elbowed him. Balor then ended up hitting a snapmare, and he ended up delivering some stomps to Rey. Balor started stomping away at Rey's chest, and he then taunted the crowd. Balor then ended up showing the way at Rey in the corner, and he started punching him in the face. Balor ended up going to the second rope, and he started to do the 10 punches. Rey ended up getting out, and he ended up sweeping Balor's feet. Rey ended up hitting a head scissors takeover, and he drop kicked Balor out of the ring. Rey ended up hitting the plancha, and Joe Tessitore called the plancha a simple crossbody. So yeah, Joe Tessitore is getting confused of a crossbody and a plancha. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Balor applied a rear chinlock to Rey. So Rey started fighting up. Balor ended up kneeing Rey in his midsection. Balor then ended up sending Rey into the ropes, but Balor ended up blowing his head, and he ate a kick from Rey. Rey ended up sending Balor out of the ring, and he kicked him off the apron. Rey ended up hitting the ropes. He slid out of the ring with a splash to Balor on the floor. Rey ended up getting Balor in the ring, and he ended up hitting a flying Sea Senton to Balor. Rey then connected with a springboard crossbody, which was followed up by 619 to Balor in his midsection. Rey ended up putting Balor back into the ropes, and he tried for a second 619, but he got caught by Balor. Balor ended up hitting a guillotine catapult into the ropes. Balor then applied a single leg crab over the ropes to Rey. Balor held onto the single leg crab for so long that the ref ended up disqualifying Balor. So Rey Mysterio won the match by disqualification. So post-match, Balor didn't release the hold Balor didn't release a single leg crab. Balor then ended up stretching Ray's surgically repaired knee some more, and then he released it. Balor then posed on the turnbuckles. He then ended up going to the apron. He ended up pinning a woo dropkick to Ray into the ring post. Balor then taunted the crowd. He ended up going to leave. He then turned to see Ray getting up. Balor then ended up pinning another woo dropkick to Ray into the LED apron. So Balor ended up warning that there is more where that came from. Balor then ended up posing, and he looked pleased with what he did to Ray. But overall, it was a decent match, in my opinion. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Ilja Dragunov. Dragunov ended up saying to Jackie Redmond that this is one of his biggest opportunities since coming to Monday Night Raw. Dragunov ended up saying that he almost missed this opportunity because of the Judgment Day, but Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley made things fair. Dragunov ended up saying that he wants a chance to settle unfinished business with Braun Breaker. That led to Braun Breaker walking up to Dragunov. Breaker ended up saying that they don't have unfinished business because he already beat Dragunov. Dragunov ended up saying that he can win and lose to him again. Jey Uso walked up, and he just stood at Braun Breaker. So Jey Uso let out a big yeet. The camera ended up following him as he made his way out for the main event. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Finn Balor was backstage with the Judgment Day. Balor ended up saying that that was a message to everyone in the locker room that anyone could get it at any time. He ended up saying the LWO and the Terror Twins, and that they're not so terrible now. Liv Morgan ended up saying what happened tonight doesn't compare to what will happen at Bad Blood. She ended up saying that Rhea Ripley will never touch Dominik or her Women's World Championship again. Jade and McDonough ended up saying that they haven't forgotten about the New Day, and that their time is over. He ended up saying that the tag team division belongs to the Judgment Day. And Carlito then ended up saying, that's cool. And that was basically that. And then they announced what we're going to see next week on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be New Day versus the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Jay McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship, and we have the return of CM Punk. So CM Punk is going to be on Monday Night Raw next week. So, going to answer to Drew McIntyre, of course. So that's all to look forward to next week on Monday Night Raw. Main event. The Fatal 4-Way Number 1 Contenders match in the Intercontinental Championship tournament. Jey Uso versus Ilja Dragunov versus Pete Dunne versus Braun Strowman. And this was a very good match here. Good main event. Very enjoyable. Match got on the way. Braun Strowman ended up taking Ilja Dragunov down. He ended up knocking Jey Uso out of the ring. Pete Dunne ended up attacking Strowman's injured ribs. Strowman ended up knocking Pete Dunne out of the ring. Strowman ended up following Pete Dunne out. He ended up charging at Dunne, but Dunne moved out of the way, which caused Strowman to hit the barricade ribs first. So his injured ribs went and hit the barricade. Jey Uso then ended up hitting Strowman with a plancha. In the ring, Dragunov took it to Pete Dunne with a snapback suplex. Dragunov ended up kneeing Pete Dunne, and he ended up kneeing him in the face. Jey Uso ended up taking Dragunov down with an enziguri. He then charged at Pete Dunne, but Pete Dunne ended up hitting a back body drop to Jey Uso over the top rope. Strowman then ended up lifting Pete Dunne by his neck. Pete Dunne ended up grabbing Strowman's hand, and he started joint manipulation to Strowman. Strowman ended up fighting through the pain, and he threw Pete Dunne out of the ring onto both Jey Uso and Dragunov. And that led to Monday Night Raw going to commercial, going to the picture-in-picture. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Pete Dunne, Dragunov, and Jey Uso triple teamed on Braun Strowman. Of course, Strowman fought all three of them off. Dragunov and Pete Dunne started clubbing away at Strowman, but Strowman ended up powering away. Strowman ended up charging at Jey Uso. Jey Uso sidestepped Strowman. Strowman hit the ring post shoulder first. Jey pulled the top rope down to get Dragunov out of the ring. Pete Dunne ended up rolling Jey Uso up, to which Jey ended up kicking out. Pete Dunne ended up sending Jey Uso into the corner, but Jey ended up slingshotting over Pete Dunne, and he ended up hitting an uppercut. Jey ended up hitting a running elbow and a snap kick to Pete Dunne. Dunne ended up ducking a right hand from Jey, and he ended up taking him down. Dunne started manipulating the joints to Jey Uso, but Strowman then grabbed Pete Dunne by his throat. Dragunov hit a diving leg drop on Strowman, knocking Strowman out of the ring. Pete Dunne then ended up hitting Strowman with a plancha, but Strowman didn't even go down. Jey ended up super kicking Strowman, but Strowman was still standing. So all three men pushed Strowman into the ring steps, and Strowman finally went down. So the crowd was liking this. They were chanting, "This is awesome." Pete Dunne then ended up sending Jey headfirst into the ring post. Pete Dunne ended up getting Dragunov in the ring, and he ended up hitting a release suplex, to which Pete Dunne ended up going for the cover, and Dragunov ended up kicking out. Pete Dunne sized Dragunov up, but Dragunov blocked the kick from Dunne. Both Dunne and Dragunov were trading enziguris. Dragunov headed to the top rope for a coast-to-coast on Pete Dunne, but Jey Uso intercepted Dragunov with a super kick out of midair, which was crazy. Jey ended up going for the cover, and Dragunov ended up kicking out. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Dragunov and Jey Uso were exchanging chops and punches in the center of the ring. Dragunov ended up ducking an enziguri, and he ended up hitting a strike combo on Jey, which was followed by the Constantine special. So Dragunov went for the cover. Pete Dunne broke up the pin. Pete Dunne was shown bleeding from his nose. Dragunov ended up elbowing Pete Dunne, but Pete Dunne ended up grabbing Dragunov's hand, and he snapped Dragunov's fingers. So Pete Dunne ended up going to the top rope. Strowman ended up shoving Pete Dunne to the floor. Strowman ran over Jey Uso and Dragunov in the ring, the Strowman Express. So Strowman ended up avalanching Jey Uso in the corner, and then he ended up avalanching Dragunov. Strowman ended up clubbing Dragunov down, and he ripped his shirt off. Jey Uso and Dragunov rolled out of the ring to recover, but Strowman did the Strowman Express. He ended up hitting Jey Uso, Dragunov, and Pete Dunne with the Strowman Express. Strowman then ended up slinging Pete Dunne into the barricade, and he cleared off the commentary table. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Bronson Reed came off the top of the barricade with a cross-body splash through the commentary table to Braun Strowman, which that was absolutely wild. So Dragunov and Jey Uso got to their feet. So Jey Uso and Dragunov were exchanging right hands in the center of the ring. Dragunov ended up chopping away at Jey. Jey ducked an elbow and a kick, and then he pinned a spear to Dragunov. Jey doing his awful looking spear. Pete Dunne ended up running in. He threw Jey out of the ring. He ended up going for the cover on Dragunov, trying to steal the win, but Dragunov ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, we had Jey Uso end up going to the top rope. He and Pete Dunne with the Uso splash. He ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Jey Uso ended up winning the match. And now he is the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So he'll be facing Braun Breaker. So post-match, Braun Breaker got into the ring. Jey Uso then sneered at Braun Breaker. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, this was a good main event. Really enjoyable match. The crowd was into it. All these guys gave it all they got here in the match. But overall, Monday Night Raw, good show it was tonight. But anyway, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out my previous video, my movie review of Congo, if you guys haven't seen it. And the next video will be a movie review of Event Horizon. So, until that video, I'll see you all later.